The idea of the Messiah entering through a specific gate is often associated with the Eastern Gate, also known as the Golden Gate, in Jerusalem. This gate holds significant prophetic and symbolic importance in both Jewish and Christian eschatology. Before we start, we'd like to ask for your support. If you enjoy our video, please hit the like button. This will help us reach more people and create content for you. Now let's get started with today's video. The idea of the Messiah entering through a specific gate in Jerusalem has been a focal point of religious and prophetic discussions for centuries. Central to this theme is the Eastern Gate, also known as the Golden Gate, a highly significant site in Jewish, Christian, and Islamic traditions. This document explores the historical, theological, and eschatological importance of this gate, as well as its role in messianic prophecies. Historical and geographical context of the Eastern Gate. The Eastern Gate is one of the most notable gates in the walls of the Old City of Jerusalem. It is situated directly opposite the Mount of Olives and faces eastward, hence its name. Historically, it is believed to be the oldest of the city gates, with archaeological evidence suggesting that its foundations date back to the Second Temple period, 516 BCE to 70 CE. This gate has witnessed significant events in Jerusalem's history, making it a symbol of hope and divine intervention. The gate's strategic location links it to the Temple Mount, which was central to Jewish worship and sacrifices. For this reason, it has been associated with the presence of God and divine encounters. According to tradition, this gate was used during special religious processions and was the entry point for priests bringing sacrifices into the temple. The prophecy in Ezekiel. The most significant biblical reference to the Eastern Gate comes from the prophet Ezekiel. In Ezekiel 44 verses 1-3, the prophet records a vision concerning this gate. Then the man brought me back to the outer gate of the sanctuary, the one facing east, and it was shut. The Lord said to me, "This gate is to remain shut. It must not be opened. No one may enter through it. It is to remain shut because the Lord, the God of Israel, has entered through it." This passage implies that the Eastern Gate holds a unique sanctity, as it is described as the gate through which the Lord himself has entered. The interpretation of this prophecy has led to the belief that the Messiah, who is seen as the divine representative of God on earth, will use this gate when he comes to establish his kingdom. The Messiah's entrance in Jewish tradition. In Jewish eschatology, the Messiah is expected to be a king and redeemer who will restore Israel and bring about an era of peace and righteousness. Many Jews believe that the Messiah will enter Jerusalem through the Eastern Gate as a fulfillment of Ezekiel's prophecy. This belief is intertwined with the expectation that the Messiah will come from the east, specifically from the Mount of Olives. The Mount of Olives holds its own prophetic significance. Zechariah 14 verse 4 describes the Lord's return to this location. On that day his feet will stand on the Mount of Olives, east of Jerusalem, and the Mount of Olives will be split in two from east to west. This connection reinforces the idea that the Eastern Gate will play a central role in the Messiah's arrival. The triumphal entry of Jesus. In Christian tradition, the concept of the Messiah entering through the Eastern Gate is closely associated with Jesus of Nazareth. The Gospels record that Jesus entered Jerusalem riding on a donkey, an event that Christians commemorate as Palm Sunday. This event is seen as a fulfillment of the prophecy in Zechariah 9 verse 9. "Rejoice greatly, daughter Zion. Shout, daughter Jerusalem. See, your king comes to you, righteous and victorious, lowly and riding on a donkey." While the Gospels do not explicitly state that Jesus entered through the Eastern Gate, many scholars and traditions assume this to be the case because the gate aligns with the route from the Mount of Olives to the temple. Thus, Jesus' triumphal entry is viewed by Christians as a symbolic declaration of his messianic identity. The idea of the Messiah entering through the Eastern Gate also resonates with Christian eschatology. Many Christians believe that Jesus will return to Jerusalem and enter through this gate during his second coming to establish his eternal kingdom. This belief aligns with prophetic texts such as Matthew 24 verse 27. "For as lightning that comes from the east is visible even in the west, so will be the coming of the Son of Man." The sealing of the gate. One of the most intriguing aspects of the Eastern Gate is that it has been sealed shut for centuries. Historical records indicate that the gate was walled up in 1541 by Ottoman Sultan Suleiman the Magnificent. According to some accounts, Suleiman ordered the gate to be sealed to prevent the Messiah's entrance, as the Messiah's coming was anticipated by both Jews and Christians. The sealing of the gate adds a layer of mystery and prophetic intrigue. Many interpret this act as a fulfillment of Ezekiel's prophecy, which states that the gate will remain shut because the Lord has entered through it. For Christians, this is often seen as a confirmation of Jesus' messianic role and a sign of his eventual return. Islamic perspectives. The Eastern Gate also holds significance in Islamic tradition. Known as the Gate of Eternal Life or Bab al-Rahmah in Arabic, it is associated with the Day of Judgment. Some Islamic teachings suggest that the resurrection of the dead will occur near this gate. This perspective adds another layer of eschatological importance to the site, as it becomes a focal point for the end times in multiple religious traditions. Modern implications and symbolism. The Eastern Gate's sealed state has made it a symbol of hope and expectation for believers around the world. For Jews, it represents the future arrival of the Messiah. For Christians, it is a reminder of Jesus' first coming and a sign of his promised return. For Muslims, it signifies the final judgment. The gate's location, directly facing the Mount of Olives, underscores its eschatological importance. The Mount of Olives is not only a site of prophetic significance, but also a place of historical and spiritual importance. It is the location of Jesus' ascension into heaven, as described in Acts 1 verses 9 to 12, and it is prophesied to be the site of his return. Conclusion. The prophecy of the Messiah entering through the Eastern Gate captures the imagination and faith of millions. Whether viewed through the lens of Jewish, Christian, or Islamic traditions, this gate symbolizes divine intervention, hope, and the fulfillment of God's promises. For Jews, it is a sign of the coming Messiah who will restore Israel and bring peace. For Christians, it is a powerful reminder of Jesus' triumphal entry into Jerusalem and a promise of his return. For Muslims, it is a key site in the eschatological drama of the Day of Judgment. Despite its physical sealing, the Eastern Gate remains open in the hearts and minds of those who await the fulfillment of these prophecies, serving as a beacon of faith and expectation. Please subscribe my YouTube channel. I hope you like this video. Thank you.